Percy, when Meliodas was trying to tell you to get your head in the game, he didn't mean to get your head in some head. Thank you to our $5 patron, Sinners Lancelot. And a big thank you to our $25 patron, the Mr. Greed. Now, before I review of chapter 53 of Four Nights of the Apocalypse, please do me a favor and leave your own list on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you aren't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Now, let's get into it. What's up, guys? I got a pencil here, and here we are to chapter 53 of Four Nights of the Apocalypse, which is known as Triple Trouble, aka... I mean... I like one of the characters we got from it, but I thought we were picking up the pace knock, but not slowing it down. But let's hop right into the chapter. So, actually, before we hop into the chapter... I love this opening page, which I think is really supposed to imply that they're all looking for Percival. And I love how Lance... I wonder if he's comfortable in that form now. He's had to have taken that form before his journey, right? Because he so casually went back into fox form. Which makes me wonder, can he fly? Can he not fly yet? I feel like you could read hearts. You could read hearts when you were like 10. But you couldn't... How did he lose? Tristan must be like OP now that I think about it. Because if Lance could read hearts from way back when, man, Tristan must have just mollywopped him. He probably read Tristan's mind and said, oh, he's going to punch me in the mouth. But by the time he read it, he got punched in the mouth. But yeah, it's actually kind of cool to see him back in Sin form so quickly. I'm not sure if that's just like an artistic choice, that's the more iconic form of him for now, because we've known him as Sin for so long, or if it's literally just because it's more convenient to get on top of a building as a little pink fox than it is to be as a full-grown human-looking guy who's half fairy. But I don't know, I think it's a really cool page, and I love how Nausians would know that, yeah, he's probably broken into some buildings. He's looking at different buildings for Percival. Meanwhile, Donnie, Anne, and Sylvan are just wandering around the streets. That's really cool. However, we cut back to Meliodas and the man of the hour, Percival, and Percival asked the very obvious question, like, wait a minute, let me level with you real quick, bruh. You want me to help your people? Ain't you the king around these parts? Like, what you want from me? To be fair, he kind of spit. No, I'm kidding. But of course, Meliodas is like, yeah, you guys are chosen to save the world. And notably, I think this does go into my theory, my game wait, what? Does Matt he has film theory, he has game theory. Does he have... I think he makes anime video. But it's so rare, so that's why he probably doesn't have a channel for it. My anime theory. Well, this is manga. I don't really watch it like that. Manga I'm so sorry. But the thing is, I've always... Well, not always, but for a while now, I've been theorizing that these 4 Nights of the Apocalypse are meant to save the world from the apocalypse. As in, they're the knights in the apocalypse that are going to stop it. Well, not stop it, but, like, fix it. Rather than them being like the actual cause of the apocalypse. Like, they are going to destroy the world. The world is going to be destroyed, and they're going to be the ones fixing it. I think that's what Meliodas is implying here, because he's like, well, yeah, the Four Nights of the Apocalypse, you included, are kids chosen to save the world. And he specifically says chosen to save the world. Save the world from what? Maybe an apocalypse. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe not. Because we don't get full clarity in this chapter, because we can never get full clarity from Nakaba. He always wants to stretch it out. No, I'm kidding. But we get to see that Percy's like, well, let me level with you real quick, bro. You see, there's this guy named Ironside. He's my dad. He would still body bag me if he wasn't drugged. And there's this other dude. He's pretty cool. He's the best character in the entire series. Probably running a fade with you. His name is Pelgard. Yeah, he'd also probably whip me right now. And there's this whole dude that my homeboy Lance is scared of, or maybe scared of. He's got a Star Knight visor, and he's not even the king of Camelot. So what you want from me? Essentially, Percival just says, I'm not sure I'm that guy. You may have the wrong one. And leveling with you, Meliodas, if it wasn't for the squad, I would have been dead. And I'm not saying that in like the metaphorical. I mean that in the literal. Like, my dad would have killed me and succeeded, and I'd be dead. It's kind of, well, technically, I honestly wonder what would have happened. He would have landed on the ground without guy. Nah, he would have been actually. That's gonna be a what if. Once we learn more about Pelgard, I'm thinking I'm gonna write that what if. What if Sin didn't catch up in time? Because notably, if Pelgard had just taken Percival, I doubt he would have gotten him killed. If he had taken him back to Camelot, being stupid, then Percy may have died. Not gonna lie. However, I think you could have like an entirely different arc where Pelgard like adopts Percival as a surrogate son. I'm gonna write that what if one time, but I need to learn more about Helgar before I even do that, because I really don't know much. As much as I love him, we don't know that much about him. But you get to see that not only is Percival a little bit doubtful on the raw potency and strength side, he's like, well, also, the way Lancelot put it, the 4 knights are gonna be big disasters that destroy the world. That doesn't seem to match what you spitting at me, dog. So, like, level with me real quick. What you saying, gang? And of course, this is like, he didn't tell you the key part? That's in character. And this is, I don't know. For some reason, like, my favorite part of Nakaba is his character writing. Like, as much as I do like his world building, I like the species he does, I like the crazy powers he comes up with. As much as I love all that, my favorite thing that he does is write characters. Because, like, these little interactions where Meliodas knows his nephew so well that he's like, yeah, that cryptic idiot, he probably would leave that out. It's something that, I don't know, you wouldn't get that. Like, there are very few mangaka that will go out of their way to tell you something like that. Like, that's an indirect inference. It tells you so much about their relationship that, just like when Lancelot had that exasperated reaction when he heard Meliodas was out and about instead of in the castle, and it told you a whole lot about how Lancelot views Meliodas in their relationship, you see how Meliodas knows so much about his nephew that he's like, yeah, he would be pretty cryptic because he is just that dude. I don't know, it's cool stuff. It implies a relationship that's stronger than the one that was implied previously the last time we saw Lancelot and Meliodas, and that leads to possible showings of that past. And you know me, one of my biggest issues with Nakaba is that he implies so much juicy stuff and, like, blank periods. And there are massive blank periods in the Seven Deadly Sins world I would love to see, but we probably will never get. And the building of Meliodas and Lance's relationship is something I would love to see, considering how intertwined they seem to be. Like, Meliodas trusted him on the same level as he's trusted his own son to go and find one of the 4 knights. It's pretty darn nutty to me. Like, you don't just give that task to anybody. You give that task to someone you deeply trust. So it'd be cool to see that trust be built up, even though I don't think we're gonna get more than the occasional flashback when Meliodas dies, because he's going to die. Bets on who's gonna die first. Like, wait, I'll make a video about that. I'm definitely, see, I get so many ideas whenever I record these reviews, because, like, so many things pop up in these chapters. But yeah, we gonna have to talk about. Tell me if you think the Sins are gonna die, because I think so. But we'll make a video on that, talk about that later. But back to the point, Meliodas is like, well, don't worry. Despite that being in character for him, I'm going to be a bit cryptic myself. And I'll cover, Meliodas promises to explain everything about the prophecy with him from the point where everyone's gathered, right? Like, once all 4 knights are assembled, he'll explain everything. He's not going to run back the explanation for the sake of Percival and the rest of the knights. He's just going to do it all at once, which, I mean, efficiency, I guess, but I wonder how complicated the tale is that you literally could just clarify for him. Percival knows most of the story, just tell him the truth. But hey, cryptism? That's not a word. And let me stop. But we get to see that apparently, counting you, there's 3 here now. Because Percival asks, wait, where are the other knights? And Meliodas says there's 3 here. So who are these 3? I'm assuming, because he says counting you, I'm guessing it's Lance and Tristan. It has to be Lance and Tristan, right? Like, there's not anyone else. Because the thing is, we've been, a couple people have been adamant in the comments section. Well, I haven't necessarily been pushing it. I wouldn't be mad at it, because, I like Gnostians. But the thing is, we've been a little bit on the edge on, like, are the rest of these people Sin gathered also knights? I don't think so, just because of the sheer, like, lack of insanity in their abilities. Like, the reason I think the knights are going to be so insane is because Percival has this hero type magic that literally does everything in a quarter. You have Percival, Percival, but you have Tristan being the son of the strongest goddess and the strongest demon to literally ever you can argue, if you consider the supreme deity a goddess too and not just their creator, then second strongest. But still, if you remove her from the equation, the strongest goddess to ever live and the strongest demon to ever live, quite literally, regardless of whether you include the Demon King as a demon or not, they had a kid, and that's Tristan. So of course he's going to be snapped. And then you have the human being that survived over 1,000 years in purgatory and had insane gene development to do who knows what to his genetics, on top of a royal fairy and they are the first natural producing. Like, Lancelot, it really is a miracle when you think about it. Like, he is the first human-fairy hybrid that was born naturally from a fairy. He's probably, like, the first ever live birth from a fairy. Because we know, despite how Gerhardt and Ro were looking at each other, nothing ever got on between those two. So, Lance really is a miracle in of himself. The fact that he was able to be born is impressive. I'm shocked fairies even... Why am I going into fairy about? But I'm shocked fairies even have the capability to reproduce other species, considering they're born from plants. Like, they don't... do they have both? Huh. Someone make fan art of that. But no, but essentially it's kind of shocking that Lancelot exists. And obviously his mom, once again, royal fairy, control over... Like, he has insane potential. Like, the last night is always up in the air, whether it's Gawain or someone else. Like, people have been saying Mordred, and while I don't, once again... Not the biggest Arthurian mythology buff out there. Much more of a Greek mythology guy myself, so don't be afraid to snap my neck. But I don't know much about Mordred other than the fact that he fights King Arthur, so it could be useful if he was the fourth knight. And I would prefer, I'm not going to lie, just because we already had a very powerful Sunshine user, I wouldn't mind if Gawain was just like a side knight who was also just extremely powerful. Like a sidekick. Like, essentially a Zeldris. Like, Zeldris is extremely strong, but he was kind of like on the fringe of the narrative. He wasn't one of the sins. In fact, he was the vessel of the final villain. But still, having a powerful character like that on the side is fine by me. But we're likely going to meet all four knights and get that confirmed within the next 10 chapters or so. I don't think we're going to stall out for much longer. And I do think I gotta make that video before the chapter drops. Because if a chapter drops and I didn't call it out on video, I'm going to be so mad at myself. But regardless, I've been speaking so much. We go back and we get to see that Meliodas is like, on the moment Meliodas is like, let's return to the castle so we can get business done, we hear, my liege! And we see these things, and these flying stingrays, are these stingrays? Floating stingrays? Stingrays, like, what are the gills for? Can they swim? I think they can swim. They have to be able to swim. But, like, their gills are open. Wouldn't that kill a fish? If they're, like, taking an oxygen... I don't know. I don't know much about fish biology. I keep going on these tangents like I know what I'm talking about. But it's cool. I like these things. Because these are the things that Helbram, Gila, and Jericho wrote on all the way back in Season 1. I think they're really, really cool. They're a cool design. And they make up for those who can't fly. And we get to see that, big boy Tristan has returned from his voyage. And notably, hold on 1 second. Time for the power of Google. I forgot. Guardians of Edinburgh is even a two-parter. So we're going to see Tristan in the modern narrative way before, well, maybe not way before. Who knows? We may stall for like another year, but I highly doubt that. I feel like despite what this chapter does to like divert the pace a bit, I still do think we're going to be seeing everyone pretty soon. But we're going to be seeing Tristan in the modern narrative before we see him in his own movie. That's kind of weird. I mean, it's not necessarily weird, and it's not like chronological things haven't happened out of order. Anyway, like, us in the West got Cursed by Light, and I'm not even sure, I think Cursed by Light was even aired after Four Knights started anyway, but Cursed by Light is an in-between movie that picks up a loose thread from the end of Seven Deadly Sins that released around the time Four Knights was already coming out. So it wouldn't be the first time Nakaba has released story-relevant content in a movie late for a narrative, but it's fine. It'd be like that, it'd be like this sometimes. But of course, we get to see that the liege, or no, the person who called my liege, who's mentioned that Tristan is back, and let us instantly ask the question, I'm like, wait a minute, if he's back, did he bring the Knight of Prophecy back? And before we can get a clear answer, I love Percy, man. Like, admittedly, and here you go, how can you love Percy if he's not even in your top 3? Still, shut up, alright? I didn't mean that. But he's also, he's a cute kid, right? Because he's still freaking out over this gigantic stingray. And to be fair, like, if I saw that in real life, if I just saw a massive smiling stingray thing staring at me from the heavens, I mean, I probably wouldn't have such an excited reaction. I'd probably run. But of course, we see that apparently there is the knight's here, but there's also a problem. And apparently this problem may be related to what Percival spots going off in the distance. He sees these multiple light flashes, and they almost, like, if you squint at it the right way, like if you close your eyes hard enough, it kind of looks like arc particles. And let me zoom in. And notably, actually no, these don't just look like arc particles. They look like Tristan's power. Like, these are the kind of light spears that he released in the Edinburgh trailer. So is this Tristan? flexing, and I don't know. I'm very intrigued to see what this is, but of course we don't get a direct answer here because while Percival gets enwrapped by the sparkles, you know, he's like a moth to a flame, so he immediately wanders off. Meanwhile, Meliodas is like, and it's interesting, right? Because since that's a perspective thing, and it is a good trick to keep information out of the audience's periphery while like still keeping us in the area. Like usually what a mangaka or even a regular storyteller would do in that instance, if they want one character to hear something but our character who's right next to them not hear something, we'll cut away, or at least if they don't want the audience to know something. However, what Nakaba did here was he essentially he hard walked our perspective to Percival, so he couldn't hear what the knight on top of the manta ray was saying. So Meliodas has a reaction to what he said, but of course he's not going to directly repeat what he just heard. So all we get is that's a surprise, but the prophecy is true enough. Well, and we don't know what happened. We don't know what the issue is, and we don't know what happens with these sparkly lights, but it won't matter for too long because Percival already dipped. And apparently, Meliodas may have to go handle something because he went to tell Percival, hey, could you mind heading back to the castle and wait for me? But Percival is gone. And like, did the knight not say anything? Did he not mention anything about the knight just... The knight on the manta ray, did he not even notice Percival leave? I'm kind of shocked. Like, he literally just escaped, and he got far too. But then again, Percival's relatively fast. But the fact that Meliodas can't just, I don't. It'd be a weird occasion too. But can you imagine if Meliodas just flared into assault mode for no reason, rushed over, grabbed Percival, just yeeted him back to the castle? It'd be hilarious if he just like showed up. Because notably, he did grab Percival's head earlier. Well, he patted it. He patted Percival's head. It'd be hilarious if he went into assault mode and just like, maybe he wouldn't even have to charge it himself. He just threw out a darkness tendril, grabbed Percival, whipped him around and threw him away. And they just yelled, Lance, catch him, my boy. And then Lance leaps up out of nowhere, grabs him and takes him back to the castle. I know it'd be so corny, but still, I feel like it'd be hilarious. But of course, Percival's on and off and he's gone. And we get to see that Percival, don't use that. Percival, that word is a very contentious thing in the Seven Deadly Sins community. You can't be throwing around the word stars like that. Come on now. Large Island level. Large Island level plus. Created a realm of stars. Whatever. We get to see that Percival is wondering what those bright lights are that he's seeing in the distance. And he's like, well, even if they were stars, they wouldn't be so bright in the daytime, right? And so what's going on over there? And we see that he's running and he's so distracted by the star. But I guess his head is crazy. But no, notably, this woman is very tall. Like, I initially thought it was weird. Like, this woman is essentially a miniature giant. Because we see that she calls out to Percival to like, yeah, yo, watch out, watch where you're running. But by the time Percival actually realizes where he's running, he went deep. Like, can I say this? I want to make a joke so bad. He's using his head to give her head. But is that like there's no way I can describe this with words that won't get me attacked. Top of the I don't know, whatever. Dome chrome, whatever. But we get to see that Percival, like that how? Like this one, I know Anne's mad. 2, how did he even do like her skirt would have to be lifted for that. Like his helmet, that one doesn't make sense to me. Like I know Nakaba, like he needs to meet his ecchi quota, I guess. But in this one where he, like, you can tell by how everything's angled, her skirt shouldn't have gone up like that and wrapped around his head. I don't know. Maybe this is not, maybe I don't know how dress physics work. But it just felt weird to me. And of course, Percival's under there, and Goku was a threat, right? Kid Goku, that man was a menace. He was a demon. He needed to go to jail. If anyone deserved to be arrested at a young age, it was definitely Kid Goku. But Percy, I can't even defend you anymore, my boy. Like he is. I'm trying to, can I say it? He's getting a deep whiff of her her Tom, no Jerry. And he says, that smells good. So we know for a fact, we know beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Percy will, he'll open the box for you. He'll open the box and take care of all its contents. If you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. He took a deep whiff. But of course, to see this woman is like, just like pretty much every year. Well, no, let me not say that. But she's like, well, I hate to say this, but I swore in my heart that I grant my body to only one person. How dare you how dare you take my chastity from me? And notably, we get to see, I wonder if she kicked him or something like that. Like, because Percy gets knocked out. Meanwhile, he's a little bit lost in the sauce, right? Because he was getting a deep whiff of what he was sniffing. You know what I'm saying? Percy was getting it down and dirty. But of course, he's like, oh, wait, what's going on? And then this is a very interesting weapon. I'm not exactly sure what it is. It's like a spiked mace, but it seems to have a weird dimensional portal in it. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's like a dimensional portal or a hypnotism thing, or I really couldn't tell you if I wanted to. It's kind of, it's weirdly shaped too, and it's weirdly short. I don't know. The whole perspective of this woman is weird, and I guess it's just the way Nakaba draws her. But of course, this is the first time we're seeing the design. But she needs to go to jail too, right? Like everyone in this chapter deserves some manner of jail. The only person who doesn't deserve some manner of jail time is the one dude. He's the only one that's kind of common sense. But to be fair, I don't like him the most. I like the dude that's on a certain type of timing the most. But we get to see that she demands that Percival remove his clothing. And, ma'am, you can't, I mean, I know he took your chastity from you, apparently. But, ma'am, you can't do that. You can't run up on people and tell them to do that. That's very, very illegal. And of course, Percy's like, whoa. I mean, in any other circumstance, if we were like taking a bath or something, I would, but like, I'm not on that type of timing. We in public right now. And of course, this woman declares that she's gonna use her spiked ball to get rid of his non-spiked ones. And Percy, I love, once again, this is just Percy being like extremely lovable idiot, because like he knows exactly what she meant by that. Like, she didn't have to specify. She gave out the innuendo, and personally instantly read that. And we get to see, interestingly enough, certain things are and like, what are these? I don't recognize these symbols from anywhere. I don't recognize these as pieces of things. What's got into all of these? Hard to say whether they're actually something beyond that hill. So maybe these are things that, these are items that people recognize, right? Like, these guys are some sort of knights or holy knights of Leonis, and I do like their drip, admittedly. I do really like their outfits. In my opinion, way better than the outfits they had in the previous series. But then again, everyone had a unique outfit in the previous series, so there really was no standard to hold them to. But the thing is, these artifacts, they are floating there, but no one knows why. And I wonder if that's just a reaction to Tristan's arrival, but someone called me out last week for mixing up Percival and Tristan's name again. And I want you to know, the moment those two are back on screen, it's going to be nothing but me. Like, let me not even lie to you. It's a 75-25 chance that I'm going to mess up their names and then not notice that I messed up their names when they're both on screen. And I'm just going to roll with it. So you're going to have to deal with it. But of course, we get to see that these guys have no idea what's going on with these artifacts. And of course, there's a more pressing problem at hand, that the Knight of Prophecy is about to, a prophecy is going to be completed in a different way. His worlds are going to be destroyed, but they aren't that big. And we get to see that Percival's, he's doing a pretty good job, right? Because like this, then again, she's swinging a full-grown mace, so who knows? But she has much longer legs, and meanwhile, Percy, while not even having proper sprinting form, just covering the family jewels, is like, no, never. I need these for Anne. And he runs off. And I love how these guys are like, I sold. Why is she chasing a child? And that's the thing, right? Like, Percy, he's not like, it was an accident. I mean, I get it. But it's still strange. But I love how the one dude very clearly recognizes, like, the moment they go to try and stop him, well, no, they try to stop the Isolde from like committing a whole homicide. We get to see that the one dude with his eye covered is like, huh, wait a minute, is that? And I love how the other guy's like, wait a minute, so chill out, he's just a kid. And of course, Homeboy switches up so quick, and like, I love him already. Round start, he's amazing. I don't know, something about those mildly ominous characters that like stand in a relatively good position but just give off this evil aura. They're my favorite. They're my favorite to see, because like for some reason this dude, he goes from, you know, like kind of under the weather, not under the weather, but he seems pretty subtle. Like he doesn't have any malice on his face, but just he gets the classic knockable like black dots around him. He's like, that thing on that child's back, it's a piece of the coffin of eternal darkness seized by Camelot. He's got to be a knight in Arthur's service. Like he went from 0 to 1,000 so quickly. And the thing is, we see that the other dude's like, hold on a second, but that doesn't make sense. He looks like a normal kid. And I don't know what kind of timing this dude was on, because he's like, yeah, whatever, he may be a child, but maybe he's just a child that they put to send us off, and something disguised as one, we have to get rid of him. And like, I get it. Notably, I guess the knights would know that Camelot is a very big threat, but they wouldn't know like the limits of Camelot's power. At best, what Meliodas would have had them be told is the idea that anyone can be anything. Their leader can literally make them shapeshift into whatever through reality warping. Like, they may know that. So it makes sense why they wouldn't take chances. But at the same time, why would someone who had seized the Coffin of Eternal Darkness be running around in Camelot? No, be running around in Leonis. If they already had the whole thing, what are they doing here? It's not like Dragon Handle was here and being protected. Dragon Handle was out and about. It was, as they said, it was seized already. So what is he doing? That's why I think this dude is just on menace mentality, because I think he just wanted to kill some kids. Like, not gonna lie, I don't really see that any of the logic in his own statement. Like, he literally contradicted himself in the same statement. See, the coffin was seized already. Why would he be back in Leonis? I don't get it. But of course, they land, and we get to see that the one dude with the half and half hair is Jade, and the other is Kion. And Kion is already best boy, bro. He gives me the Gallon vibes with his weapon too. Like, he has the half halberd. Like, he doesn't have a spear on the end. He just has he has the half ruin thing. Like, you remember Ruin from season 1? He has that part for the top of his weapon. Then he has the halberd end for the other end. I think it's a really cool weapon design. And of course, yeah, Kion was just on menace mentality. There's no other explanation. Why did he go straight to, and I am Holy Knight Kion, servant of King Arthur, prepare to die? And you are going to interrogate him? And of course, Percival's like, excuse me, what? Because he's like, wait, I just had a whole meeting with your king about how I'm the exact opposite thing. Listen to this bell. Does it ring? Because I'm not the one. I'm not the cage bird who decides to sing. Like, what is going on here? And of course, we get to see that they just build off of each other. Like, this is a trio of idiots. Like, this is the new Hauser, Griamore, and Kill Thunder. They're just a group of idiots together. Except I think Kion is just being evil for no reason. Because he's like, he immediately feeds off Isol's own hatred that Percival disgraced her. And we get to see that Kion specifically asked Percy to speak, and I think he almost has like, if you read My Hero Academia, or you know My Hero Academia, remember Shinso, where if you speak to him, he can like brainwash you or stop one of your bodily functions. Like, he'll brainwash you. I think Kion has a lesser version of that, because the moment Percival goes to speak, he goes to say, I'm not your enemy, I was brought by the King of Leonis, and then his voice is gone. So that's it. His voice just completely vanishes from him, and he can still move his lips, he can still move his body just fine, but his voice is gone. And notably, Kion has this very evil look on his face when he's like, well, looks like he's giving up on excuses. Certainly a courageous foe, at least. And he reaches out with the evil hand, and Percy's forced to die. Percy has some ultra instinct, I'm not gonna lie, because Isol was behind him, swung on him, and he still dodged. Like, he managed to dodge, roll out of the way. And of course, they decide to jump him. And I don't, the thing is, I'm sorry, I blinked on his name so quickly. What is his name? Half and half. Jade. How did I forget the name Jade? But Jade is like the logical one, trying to be like, hey, not gonna lie, why shouldn't we just capture him and interrogate him to get information out of him? But of course, Kion, going for the murder, is like, no, take him out now. He must die. It'll be easy. I don't. Why would you do that? Kion's just being evil, and I like it. I don't know. Like, I'm complaining about him doing that, but I do think it's 100% out of sheer menace mentality. So I ain't gonna complain. I'll rock with it. And we get to see that Percival, he's still flapping his lips and he's trying to explain the scenario, but obviously he still has no voice. And he takes out, it's all a misunderstanding, because he takes out Dragon Handle to explain that, oh, I took this from the bad guys, but of course it looks like he's bearing his weapon because Hauser fastened a blade to it. And we see that Kion is still on that menace mentality where he's like, yeah, you know, we don't know his skill yet. And I guess it's just be a shame if there was magical damage to the area, but we need to act on the worst case scenario, and we need to kill him. And they all power up, and shockingly enough, this is the, let's see, out of our original group, it was only Gnostians and Percival that could amp someone else's weapon with their magic. But it seems like each of these individuals, probably due to the Holy Knight training, all have their own unique magic that they can use to empower their own weapons, and they do. And once again, yeah, it's just confirmed that Isolde is a giant here, because she is towering over her two contemporaries. So I wonder, is she like 4 times the height of the king? That's kind of wild. But of course, Percival, realizing that, well, I can't speak, and obviously they don't like my sign language, so I'm just gonna have to fight, and they decide to jump him. Percy's gonna win. Like, does anyone really expect Percy to die here? I don't know. I think Kion's gonna get scolded, though. That's the only thing. However, admittedly, I'm cool with Kion, but the rest of the character, I'm very mixed on this chapter, right? Because it felt like we were going somewhere. It felt like we were getting, like, real plot progression. Like, it was cool to see Meliodas again. But essentially, outside the world building, Meliodas had been stringing us along for a while. Like, he is like, I have all of this juicy information. Isn't it great? Wouldn't you love to learn it? And then, right as we get to the opportunity to learn it, because we're about to go back to the castle, not only does he have something else he needs to go take care of, but on top of that, Percival runs away, and now you have to deal with these 3 new characters. No offense to these 3. They just ain't that, they aren't those guys just yet. Like, Kion's cool, but the rest of them, Isolde and Jade, there we go, I remember their names. But yeah, I mean, it's still a good chapter. Like, and to be fair, like I said, I like Nakaba's character writing the most, so it's obviously going to be a thing that I will not complain about having more characters, the better for me. So I'm glad Nakaba is still experimenting. I'm glad he's still doing a little bit more world building and development, showing us the new generation of Holy Knights. It's all very, very cool, but timing is always a thing that I occasionally have issues on Nakaba with, and this is a big point of, like, we were building up. Why, like, this isn't necessarily a reset to our build-up, this is just like a diversion from it, but why put our build-up on hold instead of just getting us to it at this point? We've been here for a while now, Nakaba, take us there. But of course, these things happen. I'm still fine with it. And I'm excited for next week, mainly because I don't think this fight's gonna last too long. I think we may get, like, let's see, maybe like a 6-page for each of their abilities, and they're all gonna fail against Percival, and then maybe their leader, or maybe even Meliodas himself will pop up and be like, hey, stop attacking the Knight of Pro. It'd be so cool if Lance himself appeared and was like, yo, let me level with you real quick. It's taking all my willpower not to slaughter you all for trying to slaughter the Knight of Prophecy. Now come here and catch this war. I think that'd be pretty cool. Or it would be hilarious. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense because Lance would be nearby and Lance should reasonably bully these kids, but it'd be hilarious if we had, like, a jump-on-jump scenario where, like, the whole other squad pulls up. Like, we get Donnie, Nosians, and Anne versus Isolde, Jade, and Kion. That'd be pretty darn cool. However, other than that, it was a pretty solid chapter. Please tell me your thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.